Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Open Major Qualifying video here. It's week 3 now, as you guys saw in that last video. And suffice to say, my ELO has made a massive decline. I just got tilted one day. I think it was like, I want to say it was like Monday. And I just like absolutely tilted away like 300 ELO. So we're back on the climb slightly, maybe, but yeah, started this video around 1837, so it's not great. But hopefully we can get up there because, you know, we still have a chance of making it in. Although we are on the outside looking in as of currently, there's still a chance, and I believe that we can do it. So let's just hop into the games here. All right, first game here is going against Meow, 1721. We're at 1837, as I mentioned. Hopping into round 1, we have Brazil here, ladder pole on the right there, very red soil. Wasn't quite sure what to make of this one, but it makes a lot of sense as to where this ends up being. I thought Mato Grosso because it looked kind of Amazonian in a way, but I guess it's really hard to place. And, you know, maybe the soil would be a bit more red in Mato Grosso, and there's a lot of Gen 4 there now. But I guess this is a dirt road, so it is a little bit tough to get, and it just ends up being a mappa there, which makes a lot of sense. Did feel quite Amazonian feeling, and I think the soil color makes a lot of sense. So nice guess by Meow there, getting that northern vibe as we hop into round 2. And this one we're in Brazil once again. I see a round pole in the distance, so I just slam Sao Paulo, hoping they might miss it. Yeah, we'll see where Meow goes here. And they actually make a very nice region guess in Sao Paulo there. Super nice guess there. And we're going to lose another 446 health. As we hop into round 3, let's see what we got. Yeah, not the prettiest of games for me, but I am quite fortunate to not be punished. I mean, you got to be lucky sometimes in this game. And unless you're like Blinky or something. But yeah, you got to be lucky sometimes, and not quite happy with myself here. I thought the poles did not fit for Sask. I guess the trees maybe and these barns here make a bit more sense for where it actually ends up being. But yeah, I just didn't quite think of it in the moment. The angle is slightly off of east, which makes sense for this part. There's also a part down near Detroit, like across the border area, that makes a lot of sense. So I just didn't think there'd be much Gen 3 there, but yeah, it certainly makes sense in that instance. And then this round was quite a round for me as well. I think, me personally, I got a little bit gaslit by the last round, because there's no way this bendy road like this, I'm sure it exists, but like the bendy road is so unlikely to be in Ontario like this, especially making bends like this. I just think it's quite weird. Because most of Ontario is gridded, at least down near that Toronto area. Just ends up being Illinois there, so yeah, it happens. And we hop in round 5, 1.5x damage. In a little bit of Botswana. I see a lot of sand, so I think Mountain is quite reasonable. Maybe the sand is a little bit darker here than it would be in Mountain, because the Mountain sand is a bit more white tinted, I guess. It just ends up being this city here, Kong, or Kang. And yeah, 72 points of damage. So we're still getting flawless currently as we move into round 6. Double damage in Ireland. I see AY on the left there. I don't think I noticed it until the end, though. Because it is Ireland, of course. We have white back plates, white front plates. And we got some English with the stop and the stuff that's on the thing there. I see the AY. I'm like, okay, it could be Galway. But then I'm like, okay, that's probably not wise because it's just like a random building. So I decide to hedge, and it ends up being very near Galway. Ends up being Clare Galway, which is the hotel there. I guess I could have like hypothesized that was a hotel. I just thought it was a random shopping center. But I think the hotel makes a lot of sense just because there's so many cars parked out front. Yeah, this round, clearly US. We got... you know, double yellow lines-ish, with that dashed line for passing. And then a lot of corn, so just end up clicking Illinois. I guess with corn, you should just be clicking Iowa, though, because it ends up being Iowa. Wasn't exactly like a concrete road that I'm used to seeing in Iowa, but makes a lot of sense with the corn and such. And we're moving around 8 in Oman here. You can see a little bit of the truck blur in the back there at the bottom of the screen. And it is 2024 coverage, so it makes a lot of sense. I didn't think we were like, I thought we were like going through the smaller mountains south of the big mountains here. And yeah, I guess we kind of were. It ends up being Samad al-Shan there. And that's another 1098 for me, which is quite fortunate. We happened around 9, 3.5x damage now. In a little bit of Ecuador, I see the sign that says Salinas on it as the second thing there. I did not know where the other places were. I mean, playas just means like beaches, but I don't know. Salinas is a place, so I just thought it would be somewhere there. But yeah, just this road lined up the E40. It's a very big road as well, double lane, so thought it really fit. Ends up being a bit more east there near Olmedo. And we're on the curve, and then there's the toll booth there, or the toll station. But it's fine, we're moving around 10, quad damage with a slight lead. And we hop into this round, which was quite befuddling to me for a very long time. We have those palms, which remind me of the ones that you can get around Formosa, kind of, but not really. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, because this is never Formosa, right? Because it's like way too dry. It's a bit more green around there, or at least from what I've seen. Also, the reason like I figured it was Argentina is because I couldn't really place this in Mexico, especially with the trees. And then I think those reflectors at the end of the road there, where the paved bit is red and white, which is like quite common in Argentina. I couldn't really place it though, so I ended up going on Cordoba La Pampa border. I don't even know if you get those palms down there, if I'm being completely honest with you. So a little bit of a troll guess from me. But with it being so dry, I just thought it was a bit further south. It ends up being North Cordoba there. I think I'm in Cordoba province, so I mean, it could be worse, I guess. But yeah, it makes sense that it's around the lakes and stuff-ish. Round 11, 4.5 now. As we hop into a Mexico round, which I guess I should be getting. It's a wood pole there, which like might indicate to you that it's probably further northwest somewhere. But I just thought this landscape was so weird, I couldn't really place it. But where it ends up being actually makes a lot of sense. Very red road. I don't know if that's a meta for this, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm kind of mad at myself for not thinking of it. I just thought I'd slam Mexico City here. Maybe and Meow does the same. It's very possible. And yeah, they do. So we get quite lucky there once again. It ends up being near Zape Chico. And we pick up, you know, a small chunk of damage. We're hopping around 12 here. 5x damage. I notice on the bottom left, the steering wheel is on the right. And that does look like an Asian taxi there as well. Or like an Asian car. So I'm thinking east. I'm scanning grid lines. I end up looking at Blagoveshchensk first. But that grid obviously doesn't work with the compass. So move out of there. Look at Khabarovsk next. And yeah, I think the angles look a bit better there, especially that road there. With the, with like, I guess that is like a kind of a park thing to our south. Probably should have recognized that and just clicked there, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense with the Asian cars, steering wheel on the right, because they get their cars from like Japan and stuff. And yeah, you'll see where it ends up being, of course. Ends up being Khabarovsk. And yeah, we're on the right stretch of area there, but I should have recognized the park was to our south. It's a little tough, but we do get the win. And we'll take it. And we hop into another game against Meow here. 17-10, 1848 for us. So kind of an ELO discrepancy because I'm queuing later at night, but it happens. All right, we have the Nooses extender there with the thing on the pole going all the way out to the outside insulator, which is like a Nooses thing. And I thought the landscape looked quite deserty and very, very dry, and that's something that you really get in a lot of Sumba on the flat parts. So yeah, I just end up hedging North Sumba here. Ends up being like southeast Sumba, which makes sense. I guess it is quite flat there as well. But I don't really know, can't say I really know the topography of Sumba, but it makes a lot of sense. And we hop into round 2. In Norway here, my first thought was north, but I think the mountains in the distance probably would have been a bit bigger. And we do have a decent amount of tree growth here. So I ended up clicking Smola originally, and then I switched to Alesund to like hedge, like, it looks like we're on some island. Smola would have been quite close there. And yeah, we're just driving out to some island there. And it's 116 points, so we'll take it as we hop into round 3. In Denmark here, with the red stripe at the top of the diagonal top of the bollard here, with the yellow reflector. And it ends up being on the piece of land that I've clicked on, so not bad. And we'll hop into round 4 now. In Germany, looks like we got some German bollards here. Architecture, I think probably like should be pushing me more south here. And some of the trees felt a bit more south, like, so I do end up clicking like North Bavaria here. But yeah, it just ends up being northeast of Munich there, so probably could have pushed a bit more south, but I can't say my Germany region guessing is like spectacular by any means. All right, this one, it says Verde Mar, which I believe means like green sea or green ocean. Yeah, so we know we're in Spain. We have a Spanish sign there as well, next to that silver car on the right. Looks very touristy, so I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna click one of the touristy spots like Alicante or Benidorm or something, where all the Brits go on holiday. So I just send it. And I guess, you know, where it ends up being makes sense. Like the houses in the distance kind of do look like southern Portuguese houses. And yeah, makes a lot of sense. It ends up being Islandia, which, you know, I've never heard of, but looks like a big resorty town there. But yeah, we hop in around 6, double damage. In Thailand here, concrete road, flat agricultural fields. I see a hill to the southwest there. Not really sure if that's a hill even, but I just choose to ignore it, as I'm like, all right, let's just slam Thailand here. Let's see where it is. But it ends up being Sukhothai. I don't think I've ever guessed there in my life in that province, so yeah, happens. And then you see the mountains there that I think were visible. Maybe not. Round 7, 2.5. I have a yellow like background sign with a red border there. That usually pushes me towards Greece. Not a temporary sign, which like temporary signs in most other countries will have that same look to it, but permanent signs in Greece definitely use that color with the red border. So I think Greece is a pretty easy slam here. Ends up being north of Athens there on that little peninsula. Or is it an island? I mean, it might be an island. I don't know if it's attached. But yeah, we hop in around 8. Triple damage. In Chile, all white lines. Driving right. And we have the ladder pole here. Just looks like something like pretty far south, like near Puerto Montt. It ends up being east of Puerto Montt. On this road, didn't know Gen 4 was there. Who knows? Yeah, I don't really know Chile coverage that well. And we hop in around 9. 3.5. In Bolivia. Concrete road here. Sunset coverage. Which I makes sense for that road going northeast of Sucre. I just end up slamming Sucre here. The concrete road also makes sense with that on that 5 road there. And we both get a pretty good guess there as we hop in around 10, quad damage. In Argentina, driving right, we have that Argentina pole top on the right there with that flat bottom. And to me, it looks like Santiago del Estero or Santa Fe. Looks a bit more dry to me, but it doesn't feel like south dry. So yeah, we end up getting in the province and pretty close there, and we end up taking the win. So good to win another game there, another 10 rating, up to 1858, and we hop into another game against Meow at 1711 now. And we hop in round 1. In Greece here, double white line with the wooden poles. Double white line, always a good indication for Greece if you're in Europe. Can be used very sparingly in other countries, but yeah, I mean, it's super common in Greece. I see a big mountain to our west, so I'm kind of looking for that, but it's ended up giving up, and it ends up being that island again. And it's Durfee, the mountain. But yeah, 110 points there. We're moving around 2. In Poland, I think, Holy Pole on the left there near the cornfield. So I end up just clicking Łódź, because I do not like region guessing Poland anymore. Unless I'm with Finbar, then, you know, me and Finbar will get a little region guessing Poland on, but if not, I'm just clicking Łódź every time, because region guessing Poland is impossible. Ends being Western Poland. Fair enough. We end up being slightly closer there with the Łódź guess, 28 points of damage. And we happen to round 3. In South Korea here, with that diagonal black and yellow striped thing on the pole. Almost zoomed into Taiwan there. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, nice region guess from Meow there. Chili peppers were interesting there. I didn't know that South Korea even grew chili peppers, so that was pretty cool to see. Round 4. Interesting pole here. I feel like this is a very rare French pole. The architecture looks quite French, with that like stone-looking house with the red roof. And I couldn't really place it in other countries. Like Czechia would never use this pole. Slovakia would never use this pole. I think it looks most like Czechia besides that. Doesn't feel like Germany to me. So yeah, we just end up going France. Then I realized, you know, maybe we just click label. And it ends up being southwest, northeast of Bordeaux. Ends up being 787 points. We happen to round 5, 1.5x damage now. In New Zealand, very notable valley, to be honest. I end up just looking at South Island because the fences are pretty far spread out here. And I can't really place this on North Island. It's pretty interesting to get a valley like this in North Island in most cases, especially with this wide of a valley and this wide of a road. So yeah, I think South Island's the play. Just didn't know where to click. I think on that pole in the distance, now that I'm seeing it a second time, like you can see the long possum guard that you get in the Blenheim Valley sometimes in Marlborough. Yeah, it's a very distinct angle, very distinct road, so pretty doable there. Round 6. In an interesting round, there is a lot of like grass here, so I didn't really think you'd get a bit more like just orange dirt like in the outback most cases. Didn't feel like South Australia either, so I just thought New South Wales was the best choice. Ended up being Moskill there. We just click Cobar in the middle to just hedge for most of outback New South Wales. Road learning in Oz is pretty useful, I'd say, but like, yeah. You can get the state, you should be okay most of the time. Very red-looking fields here, kind of reminded me of Castilla Mancha, south of Madrid. Ends up being there. And we'll take that. Pretty good damage, 1,000. And we open up about a 1,200 point lead there as we hop in around 8 triple damage. In Russia here. Not my favorite. Just looks like generic. Like we have birches on the right there. It looks like, so I didn't think we'd be too far south. So I just ended up going for like a Ulyanovsk, like Kazan general hedge here. Actually, where have I clicked? Somewhere. Guess we're about to find out. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it ends up being a bit more west in Saransk, which is fair enough, but we end up taking the win off of that. And we get another 10 rating. And then we get a game against Geoguesser Demon, who's at 1575, so about a 300 ELO difference here, which like I don't like to see, because if I lose this game, then I lose like 25 to 30 ELO, which is brutal. And you know, an NMPZ highest variance, I feel like produces like a lot more upsets than the other modes in general. Yeah, we get 82 points there. Ends up being Mindanao. They commit to Mindanao, which is a nice guess from them, but we end up being closer. Round 2, we move into Kenya here. Yeah, it looks western to me, but maybe the soil could push you a bit more towards north of Nairobi there. Oh no. I am not a good Kenya player, and yeah, that 50-50 always hard. Round 3. In what looks like somewhere in Indonesia to me. Couldn't really see the roof on the left, and I didn't want to exit full screen, so to me, with all of this coconut palms, it did feel a lot like Sula. And I kind of just hypothesized, like, you can see a little bit of the roof there, so I kind of just thought it was a Sula roof. End up hedging for it all, but it ends up being South Sula in some valley. But yeah, we pick up about 2,000 points of damage there, so pretty good returns. And we hop in around 4. In the Philippines this time, yeah, probably shouldn't be clicking Mindanao Gen 3 here, looking this like tropical. I feel like Mindanao Gen 3 most of the time is going to be quite dry coverage, and Leyte with the coconut palm spam makes a lot of sense. Could be the fakest meta of all time, by the way. I could be leading you guys astray, but I think Leyte makes a lot of sense with the coconut palm spam, very green and such. All right, we got an Italian bollard there in front of the car, and very hard to see double blue plates. It feels like Po Valley to me because it doesn't feel like we're too high up. Like we have a lady walking out of the forest there. So I kind of just assumed we were like somewhere in a flat random park here. Yeah, my hypothesis is kind of right. It's like kind of flat. Ends up being southeast of Alba there. I mean, realistically, I couldn't really place it anywhere else in Italy. I would have been surprised. All right, this one we got hanging signposts, so BC does the trick. But yeah, I don't know. Just try to angle guess it ends up being all the way up there. I don't know. That's probably just a road that you need to recognize, but now that I've seen it, maybe I'll recognize it next time. I probably won't, but you know, who knows. All right, this round, 2023, I notice. A-type guardrail. I'm kind of thinking, okay, it doesn't make sense for, like, the houses feel a bit more Western to me. The road feels a bit more Western. Doesn't really feel like France, so I thought Germany was the best solution. Czechia or something. Czechia would have a different style guardrail there. But yeah, it just ends up being in NRW, I think. Southwest of Dortmund. And we're moving around 8 triple damage now. In a very interesting Australia round. And as you guys know, as I mentioned, I think this is just light blue car. Yeah, I was a little lost here, I can't lie to you. Very red soil. I look at the Norseman area. I don't know, like, honestly, I don't know what I'm doing on this round. Like, I think I just, I don't know. I just click there. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. And then I just send it. And I'm looking there, and it actually ends up being at northeast of Adelaide on the B64. Probably gonna Noble Road, but yeah, we get very, very fortunate there not to lose the game. But it happens. Moving to a game against OKURA here, 1654. And we get a Piranha Palm spam plus, you know, very red soil, so I'm clicking Piranha here. And as being a bit more southwest of my plonk, but not bad, all things considered. We do 9 damage, and we hop into round 2. In France, Citron there, double blue on the plate. Architecture looks quite French as well. Couldn't really place this one. If I'm being honest, it just looks like a random, like, suburban French housing estate. Big forest there to our east. I don't know. I just click Western France because I'm like, all right, very light-colored looking houses, so maybe more Western makes sense. Ends up being north of Lyon there. I don't really know. I mean, there is a forest there to our east, so who knows? I mean, I don't know how to region guess France sometimes. Round 3. In Denmark here, with the bars that go over the signs, you'll see this a lot in Denmark on signpost and like just any kind of signage in general. It's going to have a lot of metal bars going over the top of it. And ends up being 187 damage there. Couldn't really read what the commune was called. But definitely wasn't anywhere. Okay, this round, we have some Cambodian palms. I don't know what the exact name for the palm is, but we have some houses that kind of strike me as West Bengal, but the poles are not. So I'm thinking Odisha here. It doesn't seem super far south as well. And the soil seems quite red, which kind of fits for that Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal area. ends up being like right on the border with West Bengal, so it makes sense with the houses. And then this round here, very, very light pavement with dark shoulders. I feel like I don't really see this too often in Colombia, and I couldn't really place it really in Colombia. It would have to be like north, like near Barranquilla and stuff. But I think with this light pavement like this, kind of light speckledy looking pavement, it's like way more of a Mexican thing for me. And I think the polls quite made sense for Mexico. So yeah, end up hedging Tabasco there. It ends up being Campeche, I think. Yeah, they go Colombia, which makes a lot of sense, I think, with the landscape and stuff. But I think the pavement is what pushed me over the top there. And yeah, we end off at 1880 ELO, which is 107th. And that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, of course. And I will see you guys tomorrow for hopefully another Open Major qualifying video. Peace.